What is up, Soul Fam? It's Sundar from Substance Over Start, and welcome to a new video. Thanks for allowing me to hydrate during the intro. Okay, so today I wanted to do a little bit of an Ascension update, talk about what's been going on with me, what's been going on with people in my community, what I think might be happening collectively. Obviously, it's not the same for everyone because we're all at different stages of the journey. So what's happening with everyone will be slightly different. But maybe it will resonate. And I also want to talk about, you know, what I've been seeing in the field in my sessions with clients, and what's not, you know, I'm not going to talk about personal stuff that's going on with them, but what some of the stuff that came through could be helpful for the wider collective. So I'll talk about some of the templates that are coming in for clients that are available to everyone should they want to access them. So yes, okay. So I posted on my Facebook, I'm going to do a little Q&A at the end as well, because we did a Q&A on my Instagram and there were some questions that came up that I want to kind of delve in a little bit deeper to. Okay, so I posted on Instagram the other day because yesterday I had the craziest dream. It was actually kind of a dream, kind of a vision, because I was like lucid. I was kind of like, it was in the morning when I'm like waking up, and then I kind of slipped back to sleep during meditation. And in the vision, I am walking through London. I was walking through London and I was talking to this woman about her partner for some reason, and then I found myself walking on this, I think I was on the bank of the River Thames or something, and I'm looking up at the sky and I'm looking across the river, and then suddenly, let me just light this, okay, because what I saw was crazy and I just want to concentrate and not have this. So it's Palo Santo incense. Okay, so yeah, so what I saw, oh, this is crazy, okay? What I saw in the sky was literally these massive flashes of light, you know, just bursting through the sky, just so insane. And literally when I was watching it, I was like, I felt like this is real. Like it was not, like, it didn't feel like you know, some dreams can have like this kind of like hazy quality. This was like visceral, tangible. Like I was wondering if I was really actually there seeing this. It felt prophetic. And at that moment I was just like, oh my God, is this the event that everybody's been talking about? So if you're not familiar with the event, and I'll tell you what happened at the end as well, but I want to talk about this first. The event is basically something that's been talked about in the disclosure and the Ascension communities as basically it's going to be like a grand solar flash, and apparently it's imminent. People have been saying it's going to be imminent since like 2008, probably even, well, I mean, the ancients have talked about it, the Mayans talked about it, the Sumerians talked about it, I think in the Vedic text they talk about it as well, and apparently it happens every 13,000 years that there's a massive solar flash that's like an X-class solar flare, and it, you know, can either produce a massive cataclysm that completely destroys civilizations, and apparently it's done that several times before with humanity, where apparently we're like the fourth, according to Dolores Cannon anyway, we're like the fourth human civilization that has been here on Earth since like the start of Earth, apparently. I don't know if it's true, it's just what she says, and other channelers have said similar, that we're the fourth civilization that has been here, and all the others have been destroyed by these cataclysms caused by solar flares, X-class solar flares, massive solar flares. Not like, I mean, obviously we've been having a lot of solar flares recently, but obviously this will be on a much bigger level. So apparently it happens every 13,000 years, and we're now at that part of the cycle where one is imminent. So I didn't really believe it was going to happen. I'm going to be completely honest. I was just like, all of this stuff is just like, you know, again, with like the shift to 5D, it's not that I don't believe that we're shifting into 5D, don't get me wrong. I just don't think that these things are going to happen like this massive, insane, crazy thing that everybody's going to notice. I think it's going to be something that kind of unfolds more gradually, and, you know, in a way that our bodies can handle it. So it won't be like an instant, like overnight thing. It will be maybe something that, you know, unfolds over maybe 2 to 5 to 10 years even, which, you know, in the grand scheme of time, the whole of like human history, is actually a very short window. But for us as human beings, it's kind of manageable that we're going through this massive, you know, awakening process. But in the vision, it was like, oh, okay, this event that they're saying is going to happen, maybe they're right, maybe it is going to happen. You know, I didn't really know what to think, but I didn't, you know, I couldn't think, why else am I being shown this vision? I mean, it could also be because I was asking somebody about it the night before, where I was like, I think somebody had posted on Facebook that the event was imminent, and I was just like, do you really believe in the event? Because this person that I like respect, and I, you know, really value their transmissions. So I was wanting to ask them. So it could have been, I could have had the dream or the vision because it was, you know, in my subconscious mind, where I was wondering, is it true? But it was so vivid that it really made me question, well, maybe it is going to happen. So I don't know, okay, but what happened, okay, so a bunch of flashes in the sky, and then I just saw the Eye of Providence, which, if you don't know, is the eye in the pyramid. Some people think it's a satanic symbol, and they mistakenly think that because it was kind of co-opted by the Freemasons and various other secret societies who use the esoteric knowledge and the language of symbols to, you know, for their own agendas, to serve themselves, you know, at the expense of the collective. But the symbol inherently is not evil. It literally just means the eye of the creator, i.e. your own eye, your pineal gland, which is, you know, the eye that God sees through your eyes with. So, you know, obviously it has deeper significance as well, you know, when you go into the more esoteric understanding of what it means. But yeah, it just basically means the eye of the creator is not evil. So when I saw that in the sky, I was like, and I had this knowing in my body of what I was seeing, this understanding. I mean, obviously I study these things, so I know what the symbol means, but I really felt like I felt it in my bones exactly what it means. And I've also been kind of going through my own initiations over the last few months, even though, you know, the journey of awakening never ends. This is what a friend of mine who I met when I was modeling in Bangkok, who was also, you know, a truth seeker, we were hanging out one night, and he was just like, you know, you think that you're going to like get there, that there's this destination that you arrive at where you're like finally awake. He goes, there is no getting there. It's just a constant unfolding process. It just goes on and on and on and on, more and more and more levels of awakening. So even though I've been awake for many years, and this is what I also say to people when they're like, people aren't waking up, people are like, there's not enough people awake. I see loads of people that are awake, but to what degree? Because I look at a lot of awake people and I think that they believe some bullshit. Like, I don't agree with a lot of what awake people believe. And I also don't agree with a lot of the things that I used to believe when I was awake. And I still consider myself awake, but you know, what does it mean? To me, being awake means that you challenge the notion that what you've been taught was true, and that you're always constantly challenging your belief systems and always seeking to learn more and more and more, okay? That's what it means to me. It's not like this is the belief system of, you know, the absolute truth, because, yeah, as they say in the Hermetic traditions, all truths are but half truths. It depends on your, you know, point of reference with reference to what that thing is, whatever that truth is. When I posted about it, somebody actually asked me, I don't know whether I should say the person's name, maybe they want to stay anonymous. Guys, let me know if, like, when you DM me on Instagram, if you want to stay anonymous, or if you're happy for me to name you when I talk about, you know, conversations that we've had in the DMs. But he asked me, he goes, how will we ever know if it's not Project Bluebeam or a false flag? Project Bluebeam is basically, it's a psyop, a planned psyop, in which they you know, there's whispers that they plan to stage a fake alien invasion using kind of like, what's the word, like hologram technology. So, you know, if you haven't seen that video of the Beijing Olympics, pause this video now, open up another tab on your browser, and look up the Beijing Olympics, because that will show you what kind of technology is possible for them to beam in the sky. They're very realistic images, and it's totally possible for them to kind of project, you know, crafts in the sky or a solar flash or whatever. And what I answered him with was the event that people talk about in Ascension and disclosure communities, will not just be like a flash. It's not just that people will see a flash of light in the sky. That's not what they're saying. And again, I don't know if I believe that this is going to happen. I'm just throwing it out there, and I'm, you know, asking, and I put a call out to other people to see if they'd received visions as well, just so that we can compare notes, because we're all walking each other home here, okay? There's no, in New Earth, none of us is above the other, okay? We're all like fractals of source that are all receiving certain downloads and certain codes, and it's up to us to kind of bang our heads together and compare notes so that we can figure this out, okay? So what people have been saying is it's not just going to be a big flash in the sky. I mean, I didn't even hear that. I don't think I ever read that it was going to be a flash in the sky, or that you were going to see anything. It was just that in my vision that I saw something. I heard that it was going to be like a solar wave of cosmic energy, or with ascension codes, that was going to actually ripple through the earth and was going to completely upgrade everybody's light body and drop out old density. So people were actually going to have spontaneous awakenings, and some people would be floored by it. Some people were even saying that those who hadn't done the work to upgrade their light bodies and the, you know, the emotional work on themselves, who wouldn't be able to handle the intense high frequencies, would actually be taken on board ships by, you know, various star races that are assisting us, various benevolent races, you know, Syrians, Octarians, Pleiadians, whoever. Again, I'm not saying that this is true or that I believe this. This is just what I had heard, what I had researched was going to happen. I actually didn't believe it because it just sounded a bit crazy. Not that I don't believe in, I definitely do believe in aliens. I know several people who are ET contacts personally. Like my hairdresser is an ET contact, and he does channelings every week, and I go to them sometimes. So, you know, Emily, my mentor, is an ET contact. So, you know, I definitely do believe in ETs. That's not why I just thought it would be bonkers that that aliens would actually appear to people who hadn't done the work on their emotional bodies, because they would be scared. But I think some people were saying that they would wipe their memories afterwards, and that they wouldn't be scared because, you know, essentially we all kind of come from them, we share DNA with them. What was I saying? Yes, so I am getting to the point, I promise. I am working up to it. He said, how would we know that it's not a false flag or Project Bluebeam? Because it's going to be, you will feel it. You'll feel it in your body. Like, it won't just be something that you see in the sky. You'll actually feel awakened somehow, or like upgraded. So that, I threw that out there, okay? Now, again, I feel like I was saying this so many times. I'm not saying that this is going to happen. I'm just saying that this is the vision that I got and the intel that I got. And I asked other people to share with me if they had received, you know, various insights or visions, and what intel had they received. So Mariette Valson, who is a well-known model from India, she said that she had a vision while meditating where she saw Shiva. This sounds so beautiful. I could literally, when she described it to me, I literally could imagine it. She saw Shiva. I don't know, in my mind when she described it, I could just see him like meditating, and she goes, and then she switched to like a macro view of the entire galaxy just humming away and existing all in its glory and divinity. And to me, like when she said that, it was like I could picture it exactly, that there's like Shiva, the, you know, the rod principle, the divine masculine, that single point of awareness, literally dreaming all of us real in his mind, because the conscious mind, the awareness, You know, that is the divine masculine principle. That is the Holy Father principle. So in the Vedic traditions, that is known as Shiva. And the divine feminine goddess is Shakti. So that was really beautiful. I like that she shared that with me. Oh, another thing that I forgot to mention was after I saw the Eye of Providence, I immediately like teleported, or like got on a plane, or immediately transformed to like another part of the world, where I met up with my friends in India. Because earlier in the dream I was with some friends who are from India, and then so I went to India and we were on the beach. It felt like Goa type of vibe, and there were like fireworks in the sky and everybody was partying, but there was like all these buildings like destroyed and stuff, and I was just like, what happened here? And they were like, oh, there was an earthquake. And I was like, and everybody was celebrating, and I was just like, oh, okay. I didn't know if that was connected, but I did mention it. And then Carrie Ann Fields posted yesterday that there was an earthquake around the same time that I was having the dream. She posted that there was an earthquake. She felt it in Australia, and then other people commented saying that they had felt it in the UK. So I was just like, okay, that's fucking crazy. Why am I having a dream about an earthquake at the same time that an actual earthquake has happened? So that was cool. What else happened? Yes, so yeah, a bunch of people commented saying that they had also had really intense dreams that night. This is the night before last. So today that I'm filming this is Wednesday. What is the date? Sorry, because sometimes these videos go up like a day or two after I filmed them. It's Wednesday the 1st of June, today that I'm filming. So I had the dream on the morning of Tuesday the 31st of May. So yeah, like some of the other women, like they're basically oracles who have trained with my mentor Emily, were also saying that it was a big night for them as well in terms of dreams. So yes, Jan Shears basically said that he posted this meme that says for his intel that he got around the event was, what you will see is love coming out of the trees, love coming out of the sky, love coming out of the light. You will perceive love from everything around you. This is the state of bliss. Miguel Ruiz. Okay. So Mark JB commented, he got a vision and also a constant feeling of the building pressure. And he said it was a higher dimensional wave coming from the sun, pushing out anything beneath it from the earth. A shadow earth existing, and then a healing and integration. Charla said yes, she had a vision like this too, and she can feel it happening, and she also feels like she's bursting with love, and the solar codes are huge right now. So we had a brief interaction the day before where both of us at around the same time, a bunch of people all said in the Schumann Resonance Facebook group that we felt this really random like sadness come out of nowhere. Like I felt like I mean, I did actually have a thought that was, you know, could have prompted the sadness, but literally I wanted to cry, like from this thought. And I was just like, why am I feeling like this? Like, I've got no reason to cry. Like, life is great. And she said around the same time she also had this, and she's in the same grid as me. We're both on the UK grids. But a bunch of other people said that they felt like a random sadness, like they wanted to cry, come out of nowhere. Gemma Layton said, was this last night? Something is definitely happening. I was dreaming but half awake at one point last night, and I could see all these dark bits coming out of everything, like it was raining out of everything. All the dark was coming out to be purified, and everything was getting cleansed. It was coming out of objects, people, everything. It's just got chills. Okay, so Timmy commented, I had the best dream ever 2 nights ago. Dreamt I had a directional skydiving parachute and could ride up with it. Essentially always flying and never in peril. Freedom to soar. I was not the only one. So I would kind of like, I mean, nobody can really interpret your dreams other than yourself, but I would kind of interpret that as like leveling up, constantly leveling up, and just, you know, I feel like a lot of the old programs that have kept us in lack, that have kept us in suffering, that have kept us in bondage are being cleared now from our light bodies as they start to get cleared from our light bodies, the hooks that are hooking us into these frequency bandwidths of poverty and mental slavery and I'm not good enough and we're not good enough and we never have enough and all of these kind of, you know, things that keep us looping in unfavorable circumstances, in relationships where we're not met how we deserve to be met, in, you know, jobs and businesses where we never have enough, where we never, you know, we can never make ends meet. All of this kind of stuff is being cleared out. As it's being cleared out from our light bodies, it will be cleared out from the earth as well, because we're fractals of the earth. Okay, so Mark, actually, I had a conversation with him in the DMs where we kind of shared notes about our visions, and he's given me permission to share his, which was quite intense, and I hope you can hear it.
Hi Ishtar, Mark here. So there's quite a bit surrounding what everything means, the vision I saw, and also I'd be really interested to hear more about the vision you saw as well, because we're all brothers and sisters and supporting each other and inspiring each other, and I just love to hear other people's perspectives on it as well. So I had at the time just had Isis come in as a guide. And she was holding me, and she's holding me in her wings, and I was just looking over kind of like a void kind of area, and then there was a golden lake there. I dived into the golden lake and started swimming down. And as I was swimming down, there were kind of bits of shadow, and the bits of shadow got thicker and thicker until I just froze there, and then my whole energy started deconstructing into its simple geometry, so into the geometry of atoms, and then into a circle and then a dot, and then I was just in the void, which was just a beautiful place to be, just so quiet and no thought or formlessness. Then I saw the spark of creation. I just dived into that, knew what to do. This something that's been in my vision and journeys before, and flying through all the different dimensions and levels of creation and into matter, through the universe, seeing the solar system, and then it kind of like stopped when I got to the sun and the earth. So I could see the sun on the left, the earth on the right, and then it said 2036, gave me a date, specific date, like a probable future date. And I saw a huge pulse, like a massive wave of higher dimensional light coming from the sun, and it moved through the earth, and as it moved through the earth, it pushed everything out of the earth that was lower than it. So everything like trauma, stuck energy, power over complexes, patterns, limiting beliefs, the whole shebang. And in the shadow of the earth, there existed a trauma earth, like the shadow trauma earth. And then I was taken around to the shadow trauma earth, and then shown that a group of beings then gathered there, I was included, and we then we took the shadow emotional aspect of that energy, and we transformed it into information, and there's a process that happens there, and then we so we took the emotion out and we basically monumentalized it, so it becomes the information without the motion, so the emotion becomes information. And then we overlaid it back onto the world and fused it back into the world. So basically people can create in a higher frequency, still from all of the information of all the trauma and stuff, because we've been here, we've paid our dues, and we've learned all this stuff. what's the point in everything going up a level of frequency, like a quantum jump up, if everything that we've worked for can't exist at that frequency? So this means that the light of source can shine through us, and we can still, it shines through all of the information of our traumas and patterns and all of that, and we can still create all these beautiful things, so nothing is lost. And I was told that most people will survive this. People who have done a lot of work and have at least kind of like 50% of a light positive component to their energy, and people who have shadow inverted energy, like more than 50%, will find it incredibly difficult to survive the process. So probably pass on anyone who's in a lot of inverted shadow energy. And that was it. So I've always felt so strongly that we're all together in this, that we're here as humanity as one. There's people out there who think that there will be some kind of ascension and various people would jump ship and and leave everybody else behind. But what's the point in all these, I feel, what's the point in all the star beings coming here to the earth only to just leave it languishing behind in a worse state than it was beforehand, because we've taken all the good stuff out into a kind of heaven and left all the dregs of nastiness behind for humanity, many of whom have been incarnated on earth thousands of times from the beginning of humanity, leaving them there languishing in shadow. So yeah, I really feel like we're going to move forwards as a collective, which makes me really excited. I feel there'll be 2 pre-waves to this, and the dates have been updated to like a version 2 since I first got this information, because it's a future probable timeline, so I'm told. And everything is in play, nothing is set, and things are moving and shifting. So there you go, there's my share. If you have any questions, please go ahead and ask. I've got so much to talk about, love sharing about these things, and I'd very much like to hear about yours as well. So lots of love from Southeast London. Bye.
So yeah, that was a beautiful share from Mark, who I've actually never even met him, considering we both live in London. It's kind of unusual. But yes, so I really... massive thanks to Mark for sharing that, because I absolutely loved that story, and it makes a lot of sense, and it's kind of it's consistent with my research on it, and then also what I saw, but also it calls into question, okay, when you receive visions like this, a lot of the time the visions that you're receiving are projections of your subconscious mind. So a lot of and look, it can be because you're thinking about it, because you've been researching it, because you already kind of are pondering, could this be real? Then your subconscious mind might create a vision, and you'll receive that vision. And then what can happen is it can actually become a prophetic vision, because your subconscious mind is co-creating this reality, okay? So I don't want people to think that just because you're receiving prophetic visions that they're like locked in. Same with the time 2036. It could just be Mark's subconscious mind that thinks that that's an appropriate time that projected that future date. It could happen earlier, it could happen later, it might not happen at all. It all depends on how much you hold to the vision. So for example, if you have a dream or a vision where something negative happens, like, you know, let's say you know, sometimes, you know, you might have a dream that your partner cheats on you. That doesn't mean it's a prophetic vision, okay? It just means that that's playing out in your subconscious mind. That's an insecurity or a fear that you might have subconsciously, and you need to clear it. If you don't, obviously, if you keep on focusing on it and putting your attention on it and feeding it your energy, it will probably eventually manifest. But don't take it as like a sign that they are, it's your intuition. It's like, no, that's not, I don't believe that that's how intuition works. I think your intuition is you just tuning into your body, which is the subconscious mind, that's telling you what your assumptions and your beliefs are. And if you continue to feed into that assumption, then yes, it will manifest. Okay, so when it comes to like the field updates, what I've been seeing in the fields with clients is there's a particular template that's coming in at the moment, and it's like, and I've seen variations on this template depending on the client, because the way that the individual client interacts with this template will be unique to that client based on their own kind of soul's journey and their own like templating and, you know, all of that stuff, and their gifts and their mission template. So it's a new earth template. And when I see it in the fields, it's beautiful. It's like a garden. It's actually an Eden template. So it's a new earth template, Eden template. They're both very similar, very overlapping. So it's basically like a Garden of Eden. And I've even seen like the Tree of the Knowledge coming through in that. I've also seen like Moana, the Emerald Princess, that my mentor Emily channeled, she's kind of from Hawaii and those islands. I've seen her template coming into people as well, and it's like this template that's very elemental, very connected to the land, to nature, to the divine feminine, to herbs and the healing power of herbs and healing using the elementals. So, you know, herbs, food, and also just the natural laws of nature. But then there's also a new earth template, which is all about building new earth systems that are in alignment with natural laws, i.e. cosmic law, and, you know, the laws of Mother Earth and the laws of nature, and not the kind of artificial, man-made, inorganic matrix that has kind of been overlaid with these kind of frequency nets that go over the earth. Like, you know, I'm sure many of you are aware of like admiralty law and things like that, that our legal system has kind of established through kind of like black magic and double speak. So those basically create frequency nets over the earth that people get plugged into. It's literally like something out of the Matrix, or it appears like that in the field. When I see it in the field, I see people being plugged into these frequency nets that are basically siphoning their energy and feeding it into these dark grids. So when we unplug the client from that, then we can actually plug them into templates like the New Earth template or the Eden template, or like the, you know, a natural law template or whatever, and they actually then align with their mission. Their light body starts to activate, and they start actually being able to move forward with trust in the divine that they will be provided for as they go about their divine mission. Okay, so yeah, that's really exciting upgrades that are coming through, and the more of you that do this work, the more we can actually start anchoring in these, you know, new earth templates. And I do want to do some more like, I mean, at the moment my time has been quite limited because I'm kind of moving through a lot of like just life admin and a lot of like old debris and like decluttering and kind of upgrading and, you know, out with the old, in with the new, so that I can bring in lots of new energy for this new role that I'm in. So I'm kind of just trying to be very patient with myself and not take on too much so I don't get burnt out. But in the future, I'm planning to do a Facebook group which will build a community where you can all get support, free support from each other. And then also, you know, I hope to pop in and help people, give people advice, and also do a couple of lives in there. And I also want to be doing some more like group activations, like what I do one-on-one with my clients. I don't feel ready for that yet though, because my nervous system needs to be able to hold the energy to hold space for like, you know, 5 or more people. Or just doing active, like free activations here on YouTube. I've done 1 or 2 here already. I did a couple on Instagram as well, but it's not really been a regular thing. Like I kind of do it at times of like where I feel like really like the collective really needs it. But that's definitely something that I'm hoping to do a lot more of. I just, you know, I'm just trying to kind of free up my schedule a little bit so that I can do more of that. Okay. What else did I want to say? Yes, okay, so Q&A. So we had fun little Q&A on, yeah, so the Q&A that we did on Instagram. So I already answered these questions in the stories, but I'm going to answer them here again.
Hey fam. Also.
I'm going to answer them here as well because I feel like it's a bit more permanent. We can all access it, and also I can't really go as in depth on the stories because I only have like about that much space to write text. But yes, let's start at the beginning. Okay, so somebody asked if I'm Bengali. I am not Bengali. I'm a mix, but I'm mostly Punjabi. The Roy in my surname, that's why people tend to ask me if I'm Bengali. Roy is a Bengali name. It's also a Punjabi name. So I'm mostly Punjabi, but I've also got like some Kashmiri, I think some Pathan, sorry, my mind's just gone blank. Welsh, Scottish, Irish, French, not English, even though sometimes I say I'm a quarter English. That's just to kind of like encapsulate all those ethnicities into my one maternal grandmother, but she's actually not English at all. Okay, somebody asked, do you work with crystals much? Thoughts on crystal healing? So I don't work with crystals when it comes to like clients, but I do use them in like for personal use. Not a lot really. I have like a really cute collection here. So that's Amazonite. It's good for abundance. This one is a Herkimer diamond, which is great. Herkimer diamonds, they're actually not diamonds. I think they're quartz, but if you put them next to another crystal, it will amplify the powers of that crystal. That's red jasper. It's good for, I think it's good for like drawing out negative energy. So that's a good one to have for like if you want to start a yoni egg practice. Red jasper is a good one to kind of pull out like any negative energy from like previous partners. Malachite, I don't know, I'm going to assume that that's for abundance as well, but I'm not sure. I love this. This is my favorite stone, but unfortunately I did soak this in salt water to clean it, and apparently you're not supposed to do that with Labradorite because it's kind of faded a lot. So my favorite stone is Labradorite. It reveals hidden truths, so you can guess why that's my favorite one. This one I tend to pick up a lot when I'm filming. This one's Hematite, and it is, as I've shown in previous videos, it's magnetic. So what it does is it actually grounds you. So that's really useful. This is an obsidian blade. Really good for cord cutting. Also really good as a yoni egg. I have a black obsidian yoni egg, and it's amazing for cord removal. So if you're like coming out of a relationship and you want to remove any sexual cords that hook you into that connect you to that person, getting a black obsidian yoni egg and leaving it in overnight will dissolve any cords that still attach you to that person. And trust me, it's very powerful. It works instantly. I did it, and the next day I had an email from my ex, who I had been in no contact with for an entire year, apologized. He said he'd left an energetic bank account open with me that he needed to close, and he apologized for everything, and blessed me and said that he'd healed so much and thanked me for everything. And I didn't reply, but it was just, the timing was just really interesting. So yeah, it definitely works. So try it, ladies. This one is pyrite. I think that's also good for attracting abundance. This one is rose quartz. So I'll just like, you know, sometimes I'll pop one of these in my wallet or in a pocket, or, you know, if you've got one of those little pouches, they're good to kind of carry around sometimes if you're working on a specific thing. But also I just think they're pretty and I like to have them around. So I've got like some of these geodes I think are stunning. They're beautiful. Amethyst is really good for dream work. Like if you have nightmares, a lot of my clients get nightmares. And I'll explain in another video. I've actually got a video planned about this, about why that happens. But amethyst is really good to put under your pillow. Obviously, not a massive chunk like that. But if you put an amethyst under your pillow, it can protect you in the dream space. Lapis lazuli, also good for the throat chakra. So generally you can tell what something's good for because of the color that it can help. So green for the heart chakra. So green very connected to not just self-love, but also abundance, because your heart is connected to your channels of giving and receiving. So we go into this in quite a lot of depth in my course, Reclaim Your Crown, where we open up any blockage. We basically purge out any blockages in your channels of giving and receiving and open up the heart, so we can create this microcosmic orbit of natural abundance, and connect you to the earth, and we ground you into the earth as well. This one's quartz. I just like this one. I just think it's really pretty. I bought that one in Pakistan. So yeah, I do like crystals. Also, these ones are really good. So these are, it's a bit dusty. So this is, what's this called again? Oh, this is like I don't know, like an EMF pyramid. I can't remember what they're called, but they've got crystals in them. They're made of resin crystals, and then they also have like copper wire. And what these do is they transmute negative energy and kind of send it out. So they're really good. Obviously, we all have a lot of EMFs in our homes from, you know, all these like devices and stuff. So these are really good for, like, you know, transmuting EMFs. It's good to also have them like shungite. I use shungite a lot. As you can see, I have shungite in my water. It's really good for I think it does something to the molecule. Okay, I'm not an expert on this, so don't quote me on this, but I think when I checked what it did, I think it does something where it restructures the molecule and makes it easier to assimilate, but I could be wrong. If somebody else knows, please comment on why shungite is good. I've also seen like little shungite stickers that you can stick to your devices that also neutralize EMFs. So yeah, crystals are great. This is also another one for abundance. What's this one called? Oh, I can't remember what this one's called. But yeah, I love crystals. I think they're very pretty. So basically they all have, how they work is they all vibrate at different frequencies. So when you touch them, when you hold them, they interact with your field and they affect your vibrational frequency as well. So you start vibrating at the same frequency. I don't know if it changes your frequency to exactly match it, but it kind of shifts your vibrational frequency. I guess it would probably depend on how big the crystal is. So yeah, I mean, I'm not a crystal healer. And I'm not particularly interested in, you know, doing that or I've never really been called to study much about crystals. It's not really my area. So I don't want to, like, you know, say really much about crystal healing and crystal healers, because I don't really know like how effective they are. But yeah, if you feel called to work with a crystal healer, go for it. Let me know how it goes. Somebody else asked, well, it was actually the same person, asked thoughts on moon rituals. So moons, I don't like to talk about the moon too much because I know people get really, really triggered about it. But the moon, people need to do some research on the moon and just do the research yourself, okay? Because I'm just a bit fed up of like me saying stuff and then people going, that's not true, what, you don't believe that. And I'm just like, well, okay, I've researched it and you obviously haven't, so go away, do your research, and then we can talk about this. But from my research, and David Icke has done a documentary on this, although he's not the only person who's done it, and it's not just people in the Ascension or the conspiracy community that have talked about this, although Lisa Renee also has done a lot of work. She goes more into the Ascension side of things. So David Icke basically has looked at the more scientific side of things, and there are documentaries that go into like different experiments that they've done on the moon. They've measured the depth of the craters, and they found that the craters are all the same depth. Doesn't matter how big the crater is, which doesn't make sense if it's supposed to be a planet, like a rock. And they also struck, so someone's calling me. What was I talking about? Yeah, so apparently they struck it with an object and found that it rang like a bell. So both of those things would indicate that it's hollow. I think also David Wilcox has done a lot of research on the moon and about structures that he's seen on the moon and shown photos and things like that. So, you know, Emily's talked about the moon as well. Lisa Renee basically says that there's a bunch of, basically the moon and Saturn form a matrix that is the Saturn moon matrix. If you know anything about astrology, you'll know that Saturn is the ruler of time and this kind of like imprisonment that we have in this dimension where we're kind of trapped in time or imprisoned by time. So when you feed your energy to the moon, you're basically powering up a bunch of black hole entities that are part of the Saturn moon matrix. So they're very parasitic in nature. So when you're feeding them your energy, they're basically siphoning your energy. So, you know, I said in the post, like, why do a ritual to the moon? Like, why? Firstly, you don't need to wait for a full moon or a black moon to do a ritual. You can do a ritual any time of day or night, any day of the week, whenever you feel like it. You also don't need to do rituals at all. If you enjoy doing rituals, then do them by all means. I'm not against rituals. Do whatever you like. But you don't, like, why not just do a ritual to God's source? God's source is your sustenance. God's source is the one that makes everything happen. If you're asking moon deities and black hole entities to do stuff for you, they want something from you. Like, they don't do that shit for free. There's an energetic exchange that has to happen. And when there aren't clear agreements around what the energetic exchange is, like, for example, when people do spell work and they work with deities, I mean, that in itself, you know, sometimes there are clear agreements around what the deity, what kind of offerings you should give to that deity in order to get them to do what you're asking them to do. But with moon rituals, I don't see anybody doing any offerings. You know, I just see them using the energy of the moon, which means that you're kind of leaving the door open to any kind of lunar entities to just tag you with anything and just siphon your energy and feed it into black holes. So, look, I don't do them. You can do whatever you want, but just do your research and then decide. And I think most people that actually do their research on the moon don't do moon rituals. So, yeah. Okay, somebody, Oracle Owen asked, what do you suggest for conquering people-pleasing and loving one's soul self more? Okay, so people-pleasing is a trauma response. So basically, when somebody has gone through a lot of trauma, it's common that they will dissociate from their own body and they start becoming more attuned to the needs and emotions of other people rather than their own self, which was like a self-protection mechanism. Because if you've got, let's say you've got an abusive partner or you've got an abusive parent or a narcissistic parent in the house, as for your own survival, you have to attune to that person's emotions, you know, so that you can kind of suss out what mood they're in, to keep yourself safe. So the whole like empath thing, that's again a trauma response. When you're so attuned to other people's emotions that you feel them within your own body and can't discern the difference between their emotions and your emotions, that's usually because you still have unhealed trauma in your nervous system and you haven't learned proper energy management, how to discern what's yours and what isn't yours, or how to basically seal up your energy field so that you're not picking up on other people's energies. Now, you can choose to tune into people's energies. I mean, it's what I do in field work. I connect to people's light body and then I can start to tune in to what's going on within them. I can feel where they have constriction in their body because I feel the constriction in my own body. I can tune into their emotions if I choose to. And, you know, I can do it all the time. Like if I choose to tune into somebody who's in the room and what they're feeling and their emotions, I can if I want to, but it doesn't happen automatically for me anymore because I've learned to seal up my light body and how to manage my energy. Now, the best way to do this is first to clear the trauma from the body. In my course, Reclaim Your Crown, I teach you very comprehensive techniques for how to do this. We have like a full scale system of 10 classes that will go through the body, different parts, step by step, and clear all that distortion and traumas and you know, just residual dense energies and stuff from the body using breath and dynamic movement. So the link is in the description box below if you're interested in that. Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to skip past stupid questions that aren't worth me answering. Somebody, asked about this manifestation thing, but I helped her personally, so I'm not going to answer that question here. Okay, Abhishek asked your take on manifestation and how strongly you believe that it works. It doesn't work, it's literally how reality is constructed. Like, you're always doing it. You're always doing it with your thoughts, your assumptions, and your beliefs. They get imprinted on your subconscious mind and they get projected out into the universal hologram. And that is, we're always doing it. This is how we co-create our reality. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to practice manifestation. You've always been doing it. You've been doing it your whole life. You can do it consciously or unconsciously. The choice is yours. So, you know, most people, when they realize that it works, they choose to start doing it consciously. Some people doubt whether it works, so they continue to do it unconsciously until, you know, they realize that they're continually manifesting unfavorable results, and they decide to take control of their lives and take responsibility for their creation and start telling themselves a new story. Okay. Papaya Smasher asked, what was your main theme during the eclipse? Mine, not caring what others think. So I said decluttering and just purging out old everything, like just getting rid of objects, you know, getting rid of clothes that don't fit anymore, getting rid of belief systems that don't fit anymore, getting rid of, I think I'm going through a massive up-leveling. I always am anyway. But for me, I've definitely noticed that I just don't care to pay attention to all the negativity anymore. Because I just feel like that timeline's done. Like, yes, we're still going to see some of it playing out. But like I said, everything that plays out on the 3D is basically the manifestation of accumulated past thoughts and feelings and beliefs. So once you decide to change the story, there can sometimes be a bit of a delay. Not always, sometimes it's instant, but sometimes as those old things clear, there can be a bit of a delay. So, you know, I'm just at the point now where I'm like, all right, yes, there's still bullshit going on in the world, but I'm holding the inner vision and I'm, you know, manifesting a better world, a better life, you know, for myself and for everyone, for all concerned. Okay, Andres Dude asked the best from Colombia. So I definitely loved Guatapé. Guatapé was my favorite place in Colombia. What's your take on, I didn't actually answer this. In the Alpha Bitch asked, what's your take on dreams? I've been having the worst dreams lately. Again, like I said, a lot of the time they're projections of your subconscious mind. So your subconscious mind is playing things out. Now, it's also, that's one interpretation or one explanation, not even interpretation. That's one explanation. The other explanation is we are basically, our light body is traveling through different dimensions. So we pop out of our body during dream time and we go explore the astrals, or we go explore higher dimensions as well. A lot of the time when people say they don't remember their dreams, it's for a couple of reasons. Sometimes because their pineal isn't fully open. Also because what happened in the dream was just too weird, too bizarre, or too profound for their human self to comprehend it. So when you start remembering your dreams, it's a really, really good sign that you're elevating your consciousness. Your pineal is starting to open and you are starting to be able to, you're starting to embody more of your higher dimensional avatar. So your human is able to actually interpret what's happening in the dream. So yes, it's both. Okay, so when you're exploring like the astrals or other dimensions, your subconscious is playing certain things out, so it's manifesting different scenarios for you to play out, you know, in your human life. You know, it's making sense of things that are happening in your human life. Now, that doesn't mean that it's all just like, okay, it is a projection, but it's also real. Okay, just like this reality is a projection, but it's also real. Okay, it's all a projection. So when you're in the astrals and you're having a dream about your ex-boyfriend, are you actually interacting with your ex-boyfriend's higher self or astral body, or is it just your subconscious mind playing things out? It's both, okay? Your subconscious mind is playing things out and has called upon an aspect of your ex-boyfriend's consciousness to play that scenario out with you, okay? Because in those dimensions, this kind of it also exists beyond time as well. So sometimes when you get a deja vu, it's actually because you had a dream of that scenario. So, you know, your subconscious mind played a certain scenario out, decided that it liked it, and then several weeks later it manifested into this dimensional reality. And then you might have had a little moment where you're like, oh my god, deja vu. It's just like, yeah, you've been playing this out. Like you created it in those higher dimensions, and then once you liked the creation, you decided that you were going to help it descend into form. So if you're having worse dreams, that usually means that, you know, you've got areas in your light body where you've still got, you know, tears, leaks, rips, implants, wounds, things like that. So entities are basically taking that as like tacit consent to come and fuck with you. So sealing up your light body before you go to sleep in a bubble of golden Christ light can really, really help. I've set that up for several clients that have had issues in the dream space, and they've all said that it stops happening, or it gets a lot better after they do that. So, sorry, some of the questions are just like really like don't make sense, so I'm just trying to scroll through them. Okay, somebody asked, view on astrology, is it the same as the moon? It's not the same as the moon, because the moon is one planet and astrology is an entire way of understanding all the planets. So no, it's not the same thing. I'm actually not really sure what that question means. But my view on astrology is, okay, astrology can be helpful for understanding certain things. Like if you want to use it to learn more about yourself, it can be helpful just so that you can kind of understand different aspects of your personality, even certain aspects of your, what's the word? Your mission blueprint can be read in your natal chart. And you know, I've had people read my natal chart and tell me certain things about my mission template that I already knew. Like you might have like a deep calling within you to do a certain thing, but you might have all these fears and doubts around doing it. If you get your natal chart read, having that written in black and white in your natal chart can be very affirming. However, I don't think it's good to give it too much power, okay? I don't like astrology for the reason that when I was going through my Saturn return, and anybody who's been through their Saturn return will know that it can be very, very intense. I became obsessed with astrology, and it's quite common that when people first start, you know, asking questions about the nature of reality and trying to get answers about why their life is not going the way that it is, and what, you know, tools to kind of help them, they kind of turn first to astrology. And the thing is, it's not always so cut and dry, and when people give it too much power, especially when it comes to things like compatibility reports, they end up allowing things to become self-fulfilling prophecies. It's supposed to be a tool to help you, okay? If it's basically telling you something that you think is if it's telling you something that is unfavorable, I think it's not helpful for people to go, oh, it's saying that we're not compatible, that means we can't be together, or whatever it is, or it's saying that I'm always going to be broke, or I'm always going to struggle with this and the other. You turn those things into self-fulfilling prophecies, okay? You are so much more powerful than you've been told, okay? And things like astrology, I feel like, can dampen that, because they tell you things about yourself that you might not have needed to know, and that might not even be 100% true. Like, I'm just gonna say it, like, a lot of it can be accurate, but it doesn't have to be. And a lot of the time, the things that it's saying, it's also down to the interpretation, okay? So you could have your natal chart read, and they can basically interpret the stars with how, you know, because they're basically interpreting energies and frequencies and signatures into English words, okay? And English words can be very limited. So depending on the way that the astrologer has interpreted certain things, people can take it to mean something that could be, you know, that could prevent them from having what they want in life. So don't give it that much power that it prevents you having what you want in life. Same with numerology. I find numerology to be more accurate though. But I think also numerology doesn't do that shit where they're just like, I think astrology gets a bad rap because I find that it's kind of a bit like pop spirituality, and I find a lot of the people, and I'm not saying this about genuine astrologers who've actually studied it and have gone in depth and everything like that, and if you want to know an astrologer who I think is amazing, look up Claire Nakti on YouTube. Love her videos. So she goes very, very deep, and she's not prescriptive when it comes to these things either. She kind of just talks about traits and essences and things like that, but doesn't like dictate how things are supposed to be or whatever. I find that a lot of the people that talk about astrology the most in popular kind of mainstream context are people who know the least about it. Like I've often been at like, you know, a dinner in London and people be like, what's your sign? And I'm like, what do you mean my sign? They're like, what's your sign? Like astrology. And I'm like, which one? They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, do you want my sun sign? Do you want my moon sign? Do you want my ascendant? They're like, oh, I don't know. I didn't know there were all of those. It's just like, then why are you asking? And they'll be like, oh, I don't get on with Sagittarius. Sagittarius what? Like which aspect of the chart? Do you know what I mean? So that's why I'm a bit like, when people talk about astrology, I'm like, do you even really know what you're talking about? So just don't give it too much power. If you feel called to study it, then by all means. One of the women in Emily's community, actually her assistant Tara, has some very interesting perspectives on astrology. I can't remember what she said about it though, because I'm not an expert on astrology, but I would be very, very interested in when she comes out with her course. I think she's busy being Emily's assistant, but I'll give you her name on Facebook, and if you guys want to follow her, I think she calls it star body activation. So apparently she says that your natal chart is basically like a blueprint for your ascension. So it's a perspective on astrology that I've never heard before, and I would be interested to see kind of what she comes out with when she has a little bit more time. She's this on Facebook. Oh, it's two. That's a bear. Is it? No, that's her. Tara Villanueva. So yeah, I hope she's okay with me sharing her on here. But I think look her up if you're interested in learning more about astrology. Okay. Natalie asks, my dream is to travel, but I have severe anxiety. It's held me back my whole life. Any advice? I would really, really prioritize healing your nervous system. If you have anxiety, it's usually because you have some negative beliefs that will be related to some kind of trauma. Might even be an implant, okay? A lot of the time when I look at clients' fields, their anxiety actually manifests as an actual implant. And when we pull that out, then they can actually start to purge and kind of deal with whatever comes up and what the anxiety is related to. So healing the nervous system can really, really help. There are tools to do that. I found Kriya Yoga to be really, really beneficial, because Kriya Yoga will basically remove the trauma that's held in the body and then purge it out, and then it leaves your whole body. It basically manipulates the physical body, which rewires the emotional body and the causal body as well. So it completely rewires your entire system at the causal level, which aligns you with your highest timeline. So it gives less for like implants to hook into, or any other kind of like looping patterns that you're kind of being trapped in, and negative belief systems that you're being trapped in. Because I know with anxiety, it's basically like this negative thoughts that are just running in the back of your head all the time. So that needs to be cleared. But yeah, traveling is amazing, and it's definitely worth doing. I would definitely prioritize clearing the anxiety. I mean, you can start off with breath work. I found Wim Hof breath work to be very helpful with removing like first layers of trauma from the body, and like do it like 3 or 4 times, like have 3 or 4 sessions where you do like Wim Hof, clear the trauma from the body, and then go in deeper with Kriya Yoga, which I teach in Reclaim Your Crown. And then once you've done that, then you can go in even deeper with I don't know what it's called. It's basically, I worked with the Soul Embodiment Catalyst, Amelia, I'll give you her details. Amelia Layla, emotional healing, nervous system regulation, holistic quantum leaps, kinesiology and field work. She works with the Christ Sophia logos. It's very similar to emotion code. She does like kinesiology, muscle testing to basically find emotions that are trapped in different parts of your body, and it goes really deep. It goes like into like the hypothalamus and the thyroid and the adrenals and the womb and the ovaries and the liver and the gallbladder. And because all these parts of our body store different emotions, so she basically finds what is trapped there and what the belief system is. And when I worked with her, I did like a 3-month package with her. I literally just lay there and listened, sometimes even fell asleep. It's a very easy modality if you don't want to like talk about things, but she would basically tune in and find the belief system, and she has like a list. And the belief systems that she was pulling out, I could not believe she was pulling them out, because I was just like, how did you know? And like, not just how did you know, but like, I didn't even know that that's what I believed. But yes, now that you say that, that is my belief. And, you know, things that were holding me back from abundance, from moving forward with my mission, that were, you know, blocking me in like relationships, things like that. Like, she went in really deep. And I don't recommend that you do this first before you've done other modalities, because it goes so deep, it can cause intense purging if you haven't done a lot of work on yourself already. Because I'd already been doing the Kriya Yoga regularly, I had very graceful, it was getting warm and sunny. I'm going to go out. I'm going to go to the park after this, I think. So because I'd already been doing like the Kriya Yoga, I had a very graceful integration process. Whereas I kind of recommended her to a friend of mine who hasn't done any kind of embodiment work or anything like that. I think she's done some therapy, but talk therapy. But I don't know if she's done anything. I don't think she's done any kind of like spiritual healing tools or yoga or meditation or breath work or anything. And she had an incredibly intense purge. Now, I'm not saying that that will happen, but I just think that like it just goes so deep that I think that it's something that you should do later on. But yeah, those are some of the things that have helped me, so I hope that helps you. And that's all I'm gonna say for today. And I think I'm gonna go to the park because it's super sunny and I want to activate some of the melanin in my temple. All right guys, so I will love you and leave you. Peace out. See you in the next